A tango, a
For
tango.
those people who have, and even if you don't have an iPhone, you know that the operating system of the iPhone is the iOS. What are we at? 14,
If
whatever number we're at.
all
But literally, what
my
the
hopes and
iOS is
fears
to the
are
iPhone, the
left
chakras are to the body.
behind,
That
Woo!
is the operating system.
then
It
who
is your
am
operating system. And so if you don't understand how your operating system works, then you really don't know who you are, period.
I? Who am I?
Greetings. I am Monique Ruffin, and welcome to Forget Everything You Think You Know. And I am so excited about this episode because we are in the Cancer New Moon energy. And the Cancer New Moon energy is so core to our well being, our inner world, our health, our emotional health. It's the root of it all. Honestly, it's the root of it all because it is the mother, and the mother is where everything comes from. Everything comes from the mother. And the Cancer energy in our charts really speaks to our relationship to ourselves, how we mother ourselves, and then how we learn to mother ourselves from our mothers and what they learned from their mothers. This energy gets passed down through the matriarchal frequency, and the mother energy is everything. Every person on this planet came from a woman's womb, at least I think. Maybe some of them grew on trees, I don't know. But I know when I was younger, I used to believe very much in that mythology that a woman came from a man's rib. And then one day I started doing a little research and realized, huh, ain't no women coming from man's ribs anywhere. I've not seen that ever. Everything I see is people coming from women's wombs. And this is the crux of the Cancer energy. So let's relax, get yourself comfortable. And we're going to have a really great time because today I have Chef Ameera with us. She has a Cancer rising, which is why I invited her to be here, but more specifically because of her relationship to to food and herbs and all things healing and all things nurturing. So welcome, Chef Ameera. How are you?
I had to clear my throat. I am well. Thank you so much for asking. Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
I'm really feeling good during this Cancer energy. How is it? Because the sun is moving through your first house right now.
I feel really good. I feel good. I feel good. And I do feel a bit of pressure because things are transforming, like as we're like the third quarter, and um, things have changed on IG. That's where I do a lot of my connecting. And so now they're trying to compete with TikTok. So they're no longer going to be, if you're posting a lot of pictures, your account's not going to be doing very well. And I do post a lot of pictures. I post some videos, and I've been like on the past 2 weeks, I'm like, okay, I need to work on my videos. I need to work on my videos. Now I know I was getting that download. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm being forced to show up even more, which would make sense. Kansas being my first house. So,
That's right.
yes, I'm being forced to show up more. And I still do like to, there's like, I have that still kind of like that shy side. And it just, and I might have to actually explore that a little more. Maybe it's not a shyness. Maybe there's something else behind it. But anyway, I'm being forced to show up more. And I like to do things on my terms. And I feel like I'm being forced to show up. So, so we have that. And then, but other than that, everything's great. Like things are expanding. I'm building my team, and I'm just connecting with more people and assisting them. So I love where we're at. More people are waking up, a little bit, a lot,
Yeah. Yeah.
some people are programmed, some people are waking up, so in between. So yeah, I just think it's a beautiful time. you know
It is a beautiful time. And I heard you say something that I find a little bit hard to believe. You're kind of shy? What?
that's why I said I need to explore that a little more. I Yeah, or maybe I just like but I think maybe that comes, and that's why I said I want to explore that more, because even I have memories and things have been like, I've been in this period where things have been like coming up, these memories have been resurfacing, like, oh wow, and I know it's like, so I can release that energy, or I can look at it differently and create a whole new reality.
Is it memories from your childhood? Because that's
memories from childhood. Yes, most definitely. Like certain things, like, oh, I remember that. And so even as a child, I remember on some parts being shy. And then I remember definitely being expressive, like family functions, like, oh, the music is on, I'm dancing, and y'all are gonna see me. And then I remember, being somewhat reserved and shy. So I'm like, I know there was a time, and I have to go back to where my voice was silenced. And so I definitely remember that, because even people who, I would even say like my daughter's father, who like when we like recently we talked, and he was like, oh my gosh, like, who are you? You really used to, I didn't even know that all this existed inside your being. Like, I mean, like, I've had an awakening,
But that's very Cancer though. That is very Cancer, because Cancer is the crab, and the crab goes inside. Like, you think about a crab, you're a chef, right?
Yes.
A crab has this very hard shell, and then inside is this delectable, delicious, scrumptious, fleshy meat.
I just had crab last night too, so that's funny. Right. But yes, and it does. And my daughter, I have my oldest daughter, she's a Cancer, and my youngest daughter, her moon is a Cancer. And so I have the sun, there's the moon, and then I'm the rising, and within Cancer. I know. So I was like, I think we're supposed to do like some charm stuff, you guys.
That is so dope that you get to do rituals with your children. So here's the thing that I'm also, that listening to you, you have a Pisces sun, Cancer rising,
Leo moon,
and the Leo moon, right? So,
fire.
So the Leo moon is like, I really want to be seen and I want to be out there. And then the Cancer rising is like, wait a minute, give me a minute to get things right so that I can feel. And then the Pisces sun is like connected to everything and everybody. So you have this incredible perfection for what you do. Like, your astrological sign is really perfect for how you show up, or at least how I see you showing up. So I think you're right on time. But I also want to ask you, what intention are you setting for this Cancer new moon in your first house? So that means a new identity shift for you.
And I can see how that's happening. And so I'm going to have to marinate on that today.
Okay.
Because I know like there's a whole newness. I feel it. I've already just been, there's definitely a newness. And so I haven't sat with that, because I've been focused on my social, like so many other things, building my team, and this is coming in. So so I'm going to give that, I'm going to take all of that energy and I'm going to reel it back in. And I'm going to sit and just like, what is it that I'm setting? Like, what is it that I'm calling in? Because whatever I call in comes. So I know that I need to be very intentional.
Absolutely. And you're part of my 13 moons manifestation.
Yes.
We set intentions before the new moon. A lot of people set their intentions at the new moon or after.
No, before. I tell people, you don't go planting like, oh, let me go plant this garden. You go get everything the same day and then go plant the garden. Like, no, you plan, you grab everything, and then you have your day of planting. That's So I definitely am going to be very intentional as I look. Like lately, and I'm always on the moon, but just lately I have been I'm like, oh wow, it's the moon. Like, it just creeps up. Oh my goodness, where are these moons coming from? Did we just have one?
Yes, we have one a month. We have
one. The time has been going very fast. Yeah, I didn't even realize the moon was like a few days away. Yes. So yeah, I'm going to today, because I'm not in the kitchen, is a perfect day for me to take this time and just focus on me for a moment, instead of everything else. Yeah. Just like me, just the essence of me, not like this and the business and Chef Ameera. Actually focus on Ameera.
That's right. Because Ameera deserves it.
And I know. And out of all my lessons,
doesn't do it, nothing else flourish.
And I know this, but sometimes being in the action of things, you have to be reminded. So
Here I am, your happy reminder. Okay, great. So let's talk about your relationship to food. And I really want the listeners to understand. So let me start here. I apologize. The reason that I created this podcast, Forget Everything You Think You Know, was because I am an astrologer, as everyone knows, and I see in the astrology that our current constructs are collapsing. They are literally in a death march right now. And in this country, we've been given like the 5 food groups and
The programming.
right.
The programming that literally like, okay, so that's why people are sick. That's why people have been dying. The food pyramid. I talk about this all the time. I'm sorry, like, go ahead. Like, I was just literally just so like the food pyramid. I was like, were they not telling us we needed like 11 servings of carbohydrates, of bread and stuff? Hello, what does that create? Like, I mean, sweets, and then like it just was completely wrong. Or 5, 7 servings of proteins, meats and stuff. Like, no, it was really a pyramid of death. And so we've got to unlearn that. And some people don't want to. They're like, nah, I'm gonna stick to it. Like, it's self-accountability is really, that's where it comes in.
So to my point, forget everything you think you know. Because it's all lies. It's all lies. It's all inaccurate. It's all capitalism. It's all predatory capitalism. It's all leading people into this medical system so that you don't have power over yourself. And the thing that I love about you, Ameera and Chef Ameera, both aspects of you, is that you are so clear about our relationship to food, to herbs, the sun, and you have a conversation that I love around astrology and how it connects to our food. Yes. And so I really want you to talk about, how you understand food and the nurturing and the nutrients of it, because I'm interested in all people getting this, not just Black people, but specifically Black people, because I am one of them. And I feel like we are often at a deficit because we are not close to the equator. So because we're not close to the equator, where the sun is warmest, our immune systems are often compromised. So, when you go to the medical doctors, the Western medical doctors, they'll say Black women have a higher rate of this and Black women have a higher rate of this and all this. And often it's because we are not giving ourselves what we need. So if you would just take a minute and talk about how you understand food as not only what we're eating, but what it actually, why it's healing, why we need it, like what, if you can bring your wisdom to it, because I'm not that. So I would love to hear what you understand around herbs and all of that sort of stuff as a Cancer rising, and why we need to nurture ourselves this way.
Well, even as a Cancer rising, like my connection with food really began when I was 8 years old. So, not even as I just start to forget everything that I knew and just learn me more, tap into me more. Because as I tap into me more, then that's really where the wisdom comes from, is really in my DNA. Food, I've always had a connection with food, and Cancer are our emotions. And so emotionally, especially, I mean, everybody emotionally eats, and emotional eating is not bad. But being indigenous, African American, Black, however, however identify, food is a major thing, because if we just even go back to slavery, regardless if we were indigenous here and we were made to be slaves or whatever, that was the one time where we actually got a chance to rest. So food is very, very key to us. And, we were given scraps. And we made it we made magic, because we are magic, so we've been doing that. And so now, like, really food is connected not only to our emotions and to our mood, like it is the nourishment in our body. And sometimes even the withholding of food, and that's fasting. Like, I've known about fasting, but for me, I love food so much. I'm like, but I really don't want to stop eating it. But I have my time where like my body is like, or my spirit is like, yo, it's time for you to fast. Or generally when I do my elevate your vibration, my cleanses on Crown Chakra Day, I fast during the day and then I eat at night so that I'm just very, very clear anything that needs to come through. And so food is connected really to our emotions. We have been programmed to emotionally eat. And so that programming, we just need to, like, as we start to tap in really into ourselves and our energy, and you start to do your shadow work, you start to do your love and light work, and you really start to just tap in, when you start to listen, you'll know really what's for you. Because I mean, I was vegan raw one time, and guess what? During that period of time, I needed to be vegan raw. I got extreme with it. That's because that's that Pisces, almost just like food, because food can be a drug as well, And one day my spirit was like, and it probably was a team as well. They were like, it was more my higher self. It was like, yo, so this is not for you, boo. Like, you are very unbalanced. We need you to put like a little bit of meat in your body. And I really was going back and forth. Like, I can't eat meat. Like, that's flesh and all of this. And literally they told me exactly, my spirit was like, no, you need to go to Toto's. You need to get there and refro with the food. Like, you need something to ground you. And finally I gave in and I went. And when I tell you, I don't know, my spirit was hanging all outside of my body. Like, when I tell you, it grounded me. That food was grounding me. It brought me back. It wasn't more meditating. It wasn't going to the beach. It was actually the food that actually brought me back, because that's connected to our root chakra, and our root chakra, if we're now grounded, well, it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to lose it all. Because a lot of times I would manifest things, I would lose them all. And I kept saying, like, why do I keep I'm afraid to even manifest anything anymore, because I don't want to lose it. Like, I wasn't able to withstand it. And that's because I wasn't grounded. My root chakra was all over the place, but once I really started to like really connect to like food. So why really am I eating this? What emotions are coming up when I'm eating this? When I feel this way, what foods am I grabbing for? Am I grabbing for foods? And as I started to just go down my history, my relationship with food, when it came to like love, whenever I would get depressed, I would not eat. Like, that was the one thing. Like, that's my family knew, like, oh, she must be going through a heartbreak or something, because she ain't eating. Like, that I would not eat, like, during those periods of time. Like, I couldn't eat. I didn't feel like the joy. I like food, just, I felt like I needed to just kind of like starve the pain outside of me. That's what, and I actually did that. I think back to when even my father had passed. And that was a way for me, even if I can control my food as well, like, I felt like I had control over my life. Like, that goes into even eating disorders, bulimia, anorexia, like it's like that control. Like, that's the one area, if you can control what you put in your mouth, and that's very true, but there's toxic ways, which goes over that. And then there's healthy ways. Like, if you can't control what you eat, then you're going to end up with a lot of diseases, or you're just going to end up with a lot of imbalances. And so, food, that's our nourishment. And so that, like that, even going back to those food pyramids, or what's your plate supposed to look like? And, all of that was wrong. All it did was create diseases, and it really created just unhealthy relationships that we have with food. And as we start to learn more about, like, even, it would have been great if we were taught, just some emotional intelligence. Like, yeah, so when you're feeling like this, you can do this, but then, goodness, we would be sovereign beings. So we couldn't have that.
Right.
But now is just understanding everything that we really need. I mean, it's just going back to the basics, and, the chakras are just, for me, just like a really like basic place to start at, like your root chakra. What's in your root chakra? Like, that's like your security, your foundation, food. I mean, even sex, because if we get to the root chakra, really is like the foundation. That's like really where, like, either your penis or, the vagina is going to be located, really in the root chakra. Now the creativity goes up a little bit higher, but, then there's going to be herbs that are going to assist you. Okay. Maybe you have some imbalances. Maybe you have, and I don't like to call them blocks, because I feel if the energy's blocked, then you're going to die. But you could have some like blockages, kind of like, if a drain is clogged, like it just drains kind of low. It's not completely blocked. Yeah. So there's different herbs that can like kind of shift some energy, and you being aware of it, you can take it and it can work, but you being actually aware of it, you actually activating the spiritual element in the herb. To take the herb is one thing, but to actually know, okay, wait, so here is, whether it be the Latin name or the regular name, but understanding that there actually is a spiritual aspect connected to this herb, even connected to the food. Like, that there's spiritual, there's just like, there's this physical body of Ameera, And then there's Ameera's spirit that you feel. You can't necessarily, maybe some people can't see it depending upon their gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's actually the approach that I look at as well. Like, not only is there just this physical element to something, there's also this spiritual element. And so, being just more mindfully eating when we're connecting, like, I pray over my food, and not necessarily so that it doesn't harm me, really to activate. I tell my food what it needs to do, like, nourish my body, going to the places, that are undernourished, that need healing. Like I program my food what it needs to do. Like Dr. Emoto had, he spent his whole life studying water. Mm-hmm. And, and our bodies are 60% water. So, I mean, you can even talk to you
water
or 70% water. Then we got the blood and that, but you've got you've got, like, we've got to start to just really use our words. And this comes into back to what your show is, like, forgetting everything we know and relearning. And that is why really prayer is so powerful, because it's really the words put into action. Like, you really are giving, like, no, oh my God, I kind of wish this would, no, like, be very, very specific and, direct that energy. And then on top of that, food is just amazing. Does it not taste so good? Does it not just so pretty? Is it just not like, hello, just the senses, like, food is just, oh my goodness, it's so amazing. It's like, I love food. Like, I love it. It just tastes so good. And then sometimes it's just so pretty. And then you just, like, there's some chefs who I see their work, and even though they're not connected, I like, and they're not connected how I'm connected to food spiritually, but they still are connected. Like, they're passionate about it. Like, they have this relationship with food to where, like, they can turn, I mean, like, literally a carrot into, like, this beautiful voulée that's just like, I mean, like, oh my gosh, did you just do alchemy on that food? You took that raw carrot and you transformed it into this, or you took that, whatever that is, and like, it's really like food, even like there's so much transformation that happens because you take these raw ingredients, even if you're going to cook raw, it doesn't even, or even if you're going to prepare raw foods, it still goes through this beautiful transformation to where, I mean, you take this raw ingredient and you just turn it into art or into, edible medicine.
So first of all, you just said so much that is so profoundly powerful. Can we talk more about the chakras and how the energy of food influences our chakras? Like, a lot of people don't understand why our chakras are important. Can you expound upon that?
Yes. Well, I like to keep it even just so simple, I found keeping it simple works. And so for those people who have, and even if you don't have an iPhone, that the operating system of the iPhone is the iOS, what are we at, 14, whatever number we're at. But literally what the iOS is to the iPhone, the chakras are to the body. That it's the operating system. It is your operating system. And so if you don't understand how your operating system works, then you really don't know who you are, period. No. Like, that's ego. And it's just about, do you want to become the best version of yourself? But then you just need to understand how your chakra system operates. And on top of that, if we weren't even going to go past there, like, we've developed, there's more chakras than just even 7, but we'll start at 7, especially if you don't know any. Let's just start at the 7. Mm-hmm. And they each have, it's almost like a portal of energy or a gateway. Like, I mean, I have my home, I've got a sliding glass door that goes to the balcony. And then you've got a door that comes through my room, and a door that, they all are different energy. They're all different gateways to different places. And that's really how the chakras are. And they start from, like, your root. And like I said, there's more than 7. We'll just deal with 7. You've got your root chakra, and that's anything childhood trauma that it's going to come up there. Like, even just your security, your stability, and just being grounded. Like, I know sometimes we feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm coming or going. I don't feel safe. I don't feel secure. Those are just to show you that you have imbalances in your root chakra. Like, that is the foundational chakra.
Let me ask you this about the root chakra really quickly, because when I was really having a challenging time with money, I started working on the root chakra.
That part.
And my money opened up.
Yes. I tell you, you got money issues, baby. Get that root chakra in order. Yes. And so that is, that is the root chakra. That's the foundation. And so even when people say money isn't everything, no, it is, boo. Like, you just you need a different relationship with it. And it's a tool.
Yeah.
It's a tool for freedom. Like at the end of the day, my word for the year always, I have different words of the month, but my word for the year every year is freedom. I focus on my freedom, on my sovereignty. That is the only thing. That's my foundation for everything. Does it create more freedom? Then I'm good. If it restricts my freedom, I don't want it. And sometimes freedom, maybe I need, we were restricted, need to be in the house for a little bit or something. But for the most part, if it restricts my freedom, then it's not for me.
I tell my clients that all the time, my young ones, the ones who are in their 20s, I say to them, follow your freedom.
Yeah.
Choices in your life, ask yourself, is this choice going to give me more freedom or less? Because that is the thing that no one told me when I was growing up. Okay, so let's talk about the second chakra.
And so then we're going to go to our sacral chakra, which is about creativity and sexuality. And so, as I said, even for me, the root is even, you'll have like, I would just say the primal nature of sex. That's where really I see, because that is where like the what are they called again? The sexual organs are. I'll just say sexual organs. That's where they're located. But when we get up into the sacral chakra, that is where either like the prostate would be located, or the uterus and the ovaries. That is called that's the creation factory. So you can actually create life. But not only can you create life, you can create projects, you can create businesses. It's creative energy. That sexual energy is creative energy. It's also healing energy. But we're going to stick to creation for right now. So that, and also let me just jump back real quick. The root chakra, that's red. So a lot of root vegetables, beets, root vegetables are going to be good for the root chakra. They're just kind of going like, okay, that makes sense, And then things that are red as well will stimulate that, because we all know visually, like, so the color red, that goes into the root chakra. So then we're going to pop back up into the sacral chakra. That color is going to be orange. So oranges, I mean, depending upon how ripe and amazing your mango is, it would be orange, slightly orange, yellow, sunsetish. And we also, that's also that's also water, the water. So there's also the element of water. Let me pop back. The root chakra is earth. That's the earth element. Sacral chakra is the water element. Sexuality, creativity, emotion. So our emotional body is going to be connected to that chakra as well. And then we're going to pop up and we're going to get a little bit hotter, and we're going to go into our solar plexus, which is yellow, the sun, soul, the seat of our soul. That is the solar plexus. And so if you're dealing with things, I mean, even joy that's going to be your seat of joy. If you're dealing with guilt, that's also going to be there as well. Guilt, control issues, that's going to be there as well. So that's the solar plexus.
I am so grateful you said that, because I witnessed myself dealing with guilt.
So that's the solar plexus. So that even just on your entire being, your essence, your soul, like there's something that.
Can I eat pineapples for that? Can I eat pineapples?
You could, you know what? You really could meditate. Like, okay, so let me see where this is coming from, and use the pineapples as a gateway. Like, okay, let me actually just sit here and eat this, or meditate on it, feel it. And then, okay, I'm going to actually just connect to yellow foods. Like, because that, like, my intention within this that I'm setting is that as I eat these yellow foods, I'm going to connect to my solar plexus. I'm going to start, as I eat these yellow foods, I'm going to tap into the energy that is causing me to feel guilt. Like I want to transmute this guilt into joy, and so you just setting the intentions, with that. And we know, like, somebody can just eat a bunch, like, be mindful. You're not going to, because if you eat too much, then you're just going to suppress, like, then you're going to get into a, what is that thing called? The itis. And you can have the itis by just eating too much, where you're like, I'm eating too much. I just lay back here, so you can't even really focus on, like, eat a few and just chew it. And then it's like, oh my gosh, I love pineapple too. It's just like, it's just a little, and it's so funny. I think I'm slightly allergic to pineapple and kiwis all the time, because I get these little bumps on my tongue, but I'm going to still eat it. I don't care, because it's so amazing. But just, the citrus and the sweet, and just, oh my goodness. Okay. So let me really tap in to see what I'm feeling. And it might come up then, it might come up later, but if you call on it, it's going to come. It might come in a memory, like, oh, wait a minute. I remember that time when I was a kid, because we know it's usually certain things that happen when we're younger, and those memories pop up, like, oh shoot, like, really? Like, how did that even come out? And that's really, really when the body is like, okay, I'm ready to release this. Let me show you what you've been holding on to. Now it's time to transmute it. And some people, they want to, and some people want to put it down. Exactly. Some people like, no, I don't want to remember that. Like, no. You need to release it. Like you can't hold on. You've been holding on to it. Now it's time to release it. You can see where that blockage
stays in the body. The body remembers. The body is keeping the score. I think there's a book called The Body Keeps the Score. So
well, it definitely sure does. And it keeps the score. And some of those scores, they turn into different imbalances, in the body because we've been holding on to so much. Okay. And that is the fire element. See a pattern here. We went from earth to water to fire. Now we're going to go to the heart chakra. Our chakra is the air element. So really all of the elements are located in, I call them in the lower echelon. All the 4 lower chakras actually have the earthly elements. When we start to get above, when we get outside of the actual body is when we get into elements that are not, they're the light, the sound, the frequency, the vibration that are in the upper elements. But we're in the heart chakra, and the heart chakra is the biggest chakra in the body, and it's the most expansive. It is green in color, like, leafy greens. And, some people might be green with envy, which actually, causes the heart chakra to shrink and it causes blockages. But literally, this is the chakra of love. Like, this is our heart chakra. It really is the gateway between the upper and the lower realms. And the heart chakra, they're all important, but the heart chakra is really, like, at the end of the day, as one of my mentors has said, like, love is the only thing that's real. Like, love, that is of course, we know I'm just going to float in love, not loving light, like not doing the shadow work. Even doing the shadow work is loving thyself. Like, really, I'm not just going to be one-sided, and I'm not just going to spiritual bypass the other work that needs to be done. And quite honestly, I don't think you can. The universe didn't allow me to spiritually bypass. They're like, oh, she's not listening. Okay, great. Snatch up her stuff. We know how to get her to listen. And so literally everyone, I had like my dark night of the soul, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I've been doing so much work. What else is it? And I think back and I still was trying to bypass because I was in so much pain until it was just forced upon me. I was like, okay, well, damn, it was like an accelerated like course in learning to keep moving forward, even when everything is falling apart around you. And I literally was like, that's why my ancestors kept saying, keep moving. I was like, how am I keep moving with all this going on? And I had to keep moving, and I had to open my heart. And I had like, those are, the different lessons that come. A lot of the energy, energy is everything. Energy is, you can't really see energy, but you can feel it. And energy will in turn will manifest into different life experiences that we're having. So of the heart chakra, it could self-love, it all starts with self-love as well. Certain things when we're not loving ourselves completely, then we allow somebody to disrespect us. Or, oh my goodness, I can't believe that happened to me. I mean, I can, because like you kind of, when we look at things holistically instead of one-sided, and it takes time. Like I'm sure there's still areas. I guess what? I don't know everything. I know a lot, but I do not know everything. And I'm still learning every day through my life experiences. And as certain things, I ask of myself, like, okay, I'm feeling this. What is that? And a memory will come up or an experience. I'm like, oh, like even something recently happened between me and my brother. And I was like, I looked at this text message. I was like, I was like, okay, we just going to be loving you from a distance. That's what we going to have to do. I love you, but oh, no. Oh, no, that's what we don't do. And then I even went to look at it further. I'm like, okay, so let me see here. I was like, he's a Scorpio. So what Scorpio things am I like? I was like, okay, let me get to it. And I could see like there were some things like he said, and I was like, okay, I can see that, but that was also projection. But I got my lessons. I was, to be able to be mature enough and to really even love myself enough to be like, okay, so let me take his ego out of it, but let me really see what I need, like what things need to be addressed. Okay, so that right there actually is true. I don't like the tone it was said, and I can see actually why it's been said, but I'll take that and I'm going to use it as a marker. Okay, great. That's being brought to my attention. And this was the only, like, quite honestly, I was like, I wouldn't listen any other way. So I got the message. Thank you. What
is really powerful. Let's just stop there and take a little bit of a breath, because I want the listeners to hear what you just said. When your brother said something to you, you took it, how you heard it initially was, it sounds like it put you off, right? But then you went deeper, because here's what I always say. When you're triggered by somebody, the trigger tells you that you need to actually look at it. So he triggered you, but then you went back and looked at it. And I feel like that's how we heal. If we take responsibility for our triggers, then we actually heal them and we transmute that energy. And that is really, really powerful. So I just
Well,
hope
thank you.
the listeners can do that, because I know for me, when people trigger me, and I get triggered I'm a Virgo, right? So I'm picky and judgmental and hypercritical. So I'm triggered. I live in the land of triggers, right? I really live in the land of triggers. And I'm a Pisces rising and I feel everything, right? But when I'm triggered, I try to ask myself, I just breathe and go, okay, can I calm down enough to actually take this in? And sometimes I shake, my body will shake to actually hear something that I don't want to fucking hear. My body will be like, ah. And then when I can get it in and I go, okay, there's validity in that. Thank you. And then I take it in and I move on, and it's a lesson learned. So kudos to that. Okay, so now the throat chakra. Yeah.
Yeah, so the throat chakra, the throat, like really, I mean, even that inner voice, speaking our truth, speaking kind words to one another, and understanding in the beginning was the word, and the word was God, and the word was with God. So literally we have life and death, and what we want to create is in the power of our voice, our throat, our tongue, like really what the words that we speak over our life. And that's going to be blue, which goes into even why blue is used. If you see the news, it's red. Oh my gosh, danger in blue. Here's the truth to help soothe you. You are like, no, like it's all psychology, Mm-hmm. And so when you look, I don't look at the news, but for people who do, I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys don't see. Okay, have compassion for them. They know not for what they do, but that's our throat chakra, like our throat chakra, and that's connected to sound. That goes beyond the elements, the earthly elements. We're getting really into energy and frequency. Energy's there, but those are still elements. There's a physical element to it. So now we're getting in. You can't see, touch, taste, or smell of these. You can feel them, you can perceive them, but you can't there's no physical part to it. Mm-hmm. And so that is sound. And our sound is, like I said, is very, 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 the sound is, our voice is really what we really do. Whatever thoughts you're having, that's your throat chakra. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't stand, or I can't. No. The universe does wait, what order? They're like, what order are they placing? Hold on, let me take my pen and pad down. Let me write this down. Or sometimes even
like the universe is listening to you.
They are. They're just like, okay.
Hip hop artists who speak their deaths.
Oh my gosh. And on speaking the deaf, and then also having a placement in your chart, which creates the portal for that to happen. There you go. And that's what they don't realize. You have those who run these companies know this, but those who, are just literally, they give them, this money, they don't know, and they're not trying to know, they're off a lean and everything else. And guess what? I understand, because I once used to use a substance to really, I was in so much pain, it just would numb it. So I understand, it's a lot going on in the world and you want to be numb. Everybody is on something right now, even, weed. I come from the school, I'm the high school class of 95. That was the era. And I'm sure there's probably other people who are listening. No. That was the era, honey. Let me tell you, we had we had hip hop. I had an amazing, from childhood, being able to play outside. This was the last era of the kids who we played outside. We played video games, but we still went outside. We had the club, we had so we got a good taste of that life. And things have shifted, and it was we smoked weed, but it was weed that wasn't in a factory, from it was from the earth, Even I remember when I recently went to goodness, I won't say the country for somebody listening to be like, oh, she's coming back, she's gonna do that. I won't say the country it was, but I was I want it from the give me the stuff that grows in the earth. And even literally it was wet, I had to let it dry out. Let me let this sit in the sun for a minute. But it was totally different from the stuff that's made in the factory. So getting into weed back in the day, cannabis now, because it's all legal. It's been hybridized and it's been whatever. But what I have found, for one, still what I like to point out, and I like to point out to people, it's a medicine. So even if there's a medicine, that means that there's something underlying that needs to be looked at. So if you're smoking weed every day, you got some issues that you need to work with. If you feel like you need to smoke it every day to do something, that's not normal, period. Because for me, by myself, I'm fabulous by myself. Sometimes I like to have a little drink, or I will partake in cannabis because maybe I want to relax. Or recently with my accident, it was one of the, like, CBD and cannabis. Those were the two medicines that I used to heal. I was on meds for when I had a broken a fractured pelvis. So that was one of the most painful bone breaks ever, because there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to kind of lay there and allow it to heal. It was more painful than giving birth without meds. That's how painful it was. And so it allowed me, for one, to it helped to relieve the pain so that I could get off of the pain meds faster, because I had to take pain meds. I'm team no medicate. You come over here, I have a whole apothecary, you're in pain. I'm like, oh, here's some white willow bark. Here, take this. There's no Advil or anything in my house. I haven't used it in years.
White willow bark for pain?
Yes. Also valerian root. Yeah. Also valerian root is great as well. And here's the thing, is like the medicines, they actually come from natural counterparts. Now you'll have some people that will say, well, it all comes from things natural. Like, no, but they add the different things in there, which really, it corrupts the energy, and it creates, what is that called? It creates addiction onto, it creates addiction. And it's like, okay, you take this and it starts to have your liver going out. So now you need this. It just creates a system of dependence upon a system that is not about healing. It's about managing your healthcare, and that's in there. We manage your healthcare. Well, if you manage something, that means you need something to manage. So you're going to make sure that you create a system where somebody is always in need of you. Mm-hmm. And so, yes. And so that is really like the medicine for how, and I was very intentional. This is what I need it for. I don't need it to cover up, to coat, to feel like I need to help me relieve the pain so that I can get off the meds, and it just relaxed me. Like, I even noticed a difference. I'm like, damn, because I took muscle relaxers and I need to find a really good, I'm going to get back to my mission on, like, I need a really good herbal muscle relaxer, because I noticed a difference when I get my massages, and there's a huge difference from when I was taking
Blue Lotus. Blue Lotus.
I have Blue Lotus, and you know what? Maybe I need a bigger dose. We're going to try a bigger dose. So I got Blue Lotus. So, but yeah, and I was like, I need a muscle, because I there's always still just, I think this is when I'm working, I always have this little tension. It's probably from being in a lot of masculine energy too, because what I do requires a lot of masculine energy. Yeah. So, but yes, my body is never just fully like, yes, let me just zen out. So, I'm gonna try that tonight, because I have a massage tonight. So I'm gonna start drinking my Blue Lotus during the day. As soon as I finish my workup, we getting some Blue Lotus on popping.
That is really. And I want to say, like, with marijuana, I had a lump in my breast. I had cysts. I had some cysts, and I was gonna have surgery to get them removed, which I made a choice to do that. And one of the things, the doctors gave me Valium, because I was so nervous to have surgery. I was so pensive about it. And I was like, Valium, like, why Valium? And then a girlfriend of mine who is a professor at a big school, like the lead of a whole department of a big school in Los Angeles, came and gave me like an ounce of marijuana. And she was like, use this. This will help you relax. This will help you calm down and get in your body. Do not take those Valium. And I never did. So I really understand there is a beneficial way to use marijuana, even though it's popular now and everybody's using it recreational. There's a way to use it as medicine, because it is medicine.
It is medicine. And also, like what you said, like, even it's so much going on right now. And I know some people feel the fear because they don't understand kind of quite exactly what's going on. They just are perceiving it by the programming that's been given to them through Hollywood movies and whatnot. Oh my gosh, it's Armageddon. Well, that just means that they're revealing. Everything's being revealed. Like, don't be afraid. Like, your perception is that, oh my gosh, this world is just going to end like this. It's not going to. but trust me, it's not going to like that. And there is an ending of one world, and there is another one that is being created. That's right. That is not controlled by so there, and you're right, but your perception is a little bit skewed just because of the programming that you have. So thank you for even mentioning that. And that's why a lot of people are going to that, like, oh, I need to be on something. Like, man, you might want to be sober for this.
It's fun. It's also amazing to watch this stuff come undone.
It is. And I mean, some things that amaze me, and this is actually going into our third eye, is that, and that is perception, that's vision. And that's, so even our vision, and for me, I'm a visionary. I see anything that I've created, like I saw, like like even literally my place, which I'm like, I've been here for 2 years. Like, cause I just happen to see my Google memories. I'm like, you did this. Like, cause I have to go back to when I came from, like always being evicted and not being able to pay my rent, just because for one, my root chakra was all out of whack. I didn't know anything about my chakras, and I didn't understand the different, like the energy work, the different traumas that were keeping me from not being able. I could manifest, oh my gosh, and then I would lose it. Like, oh my gosh, what happened? Right. And so I was like, I've been here 2 years. You've done like I'm just proud. I'm so proud of myself because I'm like, I've done the work, and the work continues. Yeah. And so when we get into our third chakra, I mean, it's really about having, being the visionary, like having vision, like really having vision. And, that's where our clairs come in. Like, we all have different abilities, psychic abilities. There was a post that I was looking at today, and she was talking about how some people are being labeled as, what is that called in school, where they learning disabilities, but maybe they're just empathic, ADD, and so they don't. ADD. Yeah. So there's different ways on looking at that, like to where like we look at it as a particular way, but maybe like that person, like they might have a lot of psychic energy. So it's hard. Like I get it. For me as a child, being very, I don't even like to say empathic because that word to me is just so weak. And it's like, gosh, there's a word
maybe
that I can't.
Perceptive. Maybe perceptive is a good word.
Maybe perceptive, yes. And being able, like, there's certain, I've always just known, like, oh my gosh, like, it just like the energy, just being able to feel it. As a child, I remember having that. Right. And then I would still do things against that, like, oh, I really shouldn't do this. My stomach would be like, literally, I would have the worst stomach issues because I knew I was not supposed to be doing it. And I would do it, and I would get in trouble because I already knew I wasn't supposed to be doing it.
Well, that's the thing about Cancer energy. Cancer energy is very sensitive, and you guys are like spider senses, right? Spidey senses. So you can see what isn't there.
That part. I see it, and then people like, I have friends like years later be like, you said all of this stuff. I'm like, I can't remember what I told you, but whatever I told you, like I felt it and I just shared it. Right. And thank you for being a witness to it. Because that just, all that does is just affirm for me to just trust myself.
And so that's the third eye with the pineal gland, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And are there herbs or things people can do to open that you know of to open up?
I mean, there are, but it's like, if you have not done, that's where everybody wants to go straight for. They want to go for that crown chakra and that third eye. And if you have not cleared out some of that energy on the bottom, honey, you don't want to experience that. Like you're going, especially doing like, oh, let me go do some shrooms. Girl, have you dealt with some, like you need to kind of clear out the cobwebs a little bit before, or you can, guess what? You can do whatever you want to do, but are you ready to see can you handle what happens when what you're going to see, what you're going to experience as soon as that veil drops? Can you handle that? Can you really handle that? Are you ready for it? People are like, oh my gosh, I had a bad trip. Well, honey, you experience your own energy. That's what you experience. If you're with somebody, you'll experience their energy as well. But at the end of the day, you experience your own energy. Can you really handle your own energy? Because we compartmentalize. Mm-hmm. And especially if you've been like, I'm not going to deal with that, I'm shutting that out. You can't do that when you do shrooms. Shroom is like, let me give it all to you. Right. Let me show all that's 10 years ago, honey. I'm about to bring it all. We're bringing it all to you.
Here's the thing that I find so interesting, because I grew up in the Christian church, and there would be a whole lot of the devil and evil. And once I got out of the church, I was like, oh, they were experiencing their own energy.
Exactly.
There was no devil outside of them. There was no evil outside of them. They were experiencing their own stuff, but they didn't know to take responsibility because Christianity didn't give people the awareness that everything comes from within you. So
of course, because
so
then I mean, you can't control anybody if they know that, because then they will be like, well, let me go do my work. Like, why do I need to, like, you know, it's all a control thing. I'm really hoping people, and I guess I'm still surprised a lot more people, and I understand, like, goodness, having to have your whole life change, you know, like, because even it's like people, they have their ancestors within them. So there's some ancestors that are probably, they probably still up in the church, still probably waiting on the word. They still waiting on Jesus to come. So I understand it.
yeah,
But I'm still like, really? Like, okay. But I'm grateful, because quite honestly, I didn't grow up in the church like that, but growing, like, my aunt, she went to church a lot. She used to take me out, fall asleep, I would snore, I would embarrass her, so I didn't go to church that often with her. My ancestors was protecting me. And with my mom, I went to church, and my grandmother was Catholic, so I was kind of being raised as a Catholic, and then she passed before I could have my first communion. But I understand also the difference between Christianity and Catholicism, and understanding the rituals. So I get why those seeds were planted in me. And so as a child going to church, I actually thought something was wrong with me, because I ain't feel it like the way people felt it. The music, I was like, yeah. And then they got to the other part, and I'd be like, I'm so bored. Like, why am I here? I don't even feel it. Like, I used to be like, gosh, I used to fake it. Like, yeah, you feel, no, I don't. I don't feel it. No. I never felt it. And I always thought something was the matter with me. And also as a child, I went to the mosque. My father was a captain in the Nation of Islam. He helped build up the nation with Farrakhan. And I always found it, I was so perplexed how they would read from the Quran and they would read from the Bible, but yet in church, they would talk about anybody who wasn't a Christian. So I always thought, like, I'm like, well, they don't talk about you guys. Like, they actually read from the script. So I found, just those seeds were planted in me young, like, something's off with this one over here. But it was still my safe haven.
Ownership of that perception, right? Because it's the unseen stuff. And so it's really significant for people. Like you said, I hear you. You're right. Do the work from the ground up. Don't start at the top. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm a Pisces rising, and I started at the top because I needed to. You know what I mean?
I understand. I started a bit from the top, and I kind of skipped around, but I like where we are right now. Yeah. This is where a lot of people will have psychosis, or they have mental things, because they're seeing, like, your realities, like, you've got too much, like, you've got the false, you've got the programming that isn't really real with the stuff that's coming, like, you're all over the place. And then when you can't trust yourself, you can't trust anybody else. So that's what ends up happening, is they don't trust themselves, or is this real? Is this, I understand, I never really was there, because I was like, oh no, it's real. Like, this is real. But even I look back, like, oh, I was just a little, like, oh goodness, I'm very grateful of me. And then we get into the crown, and also the color for the third eye, that was indigo. And there are different herbs that can help out. We'll go back into those herbs that can help out, but we'll go into the crown, our crown, which is violet, white, gold, that's that connection, like, to the Most High. And that there really is, I don't even do, like I said, when I am really focused on my crown, I fast. I don't, fast or drink water, even though maybe water with some herbs, but they're like, people say white foods, like, no, it's all about energy. Like, that's frequency. That's your connection. And so you do that by meditating, and that meditating, there's, definitely stillness in meditation. And then there's also meditation, like, if you love coloring, or like, even for me, like, and I get, that's what's coming up. The vision I had in my mind is me coloring. So I went to my friend yesterday, and I saw she had all this art stuff. I'm like, I want to do this. I was like, this is what I need. I was like, I need this outlet. Like, that's how I connect, is, and because I do food for a living, I still connect, but it's not the same. Like, there's something that's attached to it. So I was like, I need to do this coloring and stuff. Like, that's going to really help me even connect more with the Most High. And that's how those things come in. It's like, and it could be for music through some people, like, oh my God, like that. For me, that happens with me, but that is, through Buddha, I like however you connect through the divine. For me, it's a divine creator, and I can connect. I understand the perception of Buddha. I get how it's all connected, and they're really all one. They're all different, just angles of light. And however you connect is just really to bring you back to the one.
Yes.
And so that is that, right? That is that portal of energy, Is it
Absolutely.
the crown of the head? You know, even why babies' crowns, think the babies' crowns are not, they're open right there. They don't, their skull, yes, it is to pass out, but that it's soft. And that's how, you know, you connect to the Most High. And so, so those are our, basically the gateways of energy into our body. And guess what? The marketing companies, they hire psychologists, so they know how to tap into them gateways. So you better learn how to tap into your gateways and shut it off so that people just can't access your energetic field like that.
That's right. Wow, this is so powerful because Cancer governs the inner world. And you just laid out our inner world for us. You just showed us all the mansions inside of ourselves, right?
My father's house has many mansions. Boom. Like it's all it's metaphysics. Yes. It's all metaphysics. And that's my one wish. I really wish that everyone will understand that everything is metaphysical. Everything's energy. And then in turn, it will manifest into a physical reality, however that is. But it all comes from an energetic source. And so when you therefore can tap into that energetic source and even just know how it's structured, that's where the power is.
Come on now.
That's where the power is. And people can't, like, because that's why a lot of things happen. I mean, even quite honestly, when everything first happened, like with this pandemic, and I mean, I went to the grocery store, me and my kids, we were looking around. I was like, so y'all don't went for all the junk that's going to give you disease. And then y'all left the whole vitamin aisle open. All the fruit and vegetables are here. Everything, like literally, I have that video. I was walking through like, wow. I was like, okay, like fear, like, I mean, root chakra. Hello, everybody grab the toilet paper. What was it? Like the root chakra. You were in fear. You were like, it really got you to like your core. And for me, I was like, well, I already have this stuff stocked up, but I'm gonna get more just because I do need it. And y'all acting crazy. But yeah, that's like, I mean, and that fear also is connected to the root chakra. So anytime you feel a big sense of fear, that means like your root, okay, in that root, you know, the roots of a tree die, the whole tree dies.
That's right.
And so we want to make sure that root is taken care of. But yeah, knowing that inner landscape, like literally that and you know, man, know thyself. There you go. That's the key right there. You know your chart, you know, your chakra, your energy, and then there's other systems, but we're not going to get into other systems.
We're going to keep it right here. Because this was a lot. This was powerful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Because I really, like I said, I believe that we have to forget everything we think we know. We got to throw out that food pyramid. It's gone. We have to understand how to master ourselves. And the work that you do, I want to thank you for the work that you do out in the world. First of all, you make it look so good. Like literally, you make it look so good. And I'm always drawn to the way you present things because you make it very beautiful. So before we go, would you please tell people where they can find you? You know, if you have any offerings that are being made available, and then we'll say, have a wonderful day.
Well, you can find me. I am on, IG. If you're on Instagram, I'm at Chef Ameera, and that's ChefAmeera. And I'm also on TikTok as well. I'm learning TikTok. I'm gonna get, because there's a battle right now between IG and TikTok, but I'm learning it. And then also my website, www.chefameera.com. And I have a few offerings. If you're looking for some recipes, you're looking to elevate your vibration, you're looking to include more plant-based recipes in your life, I have my ebook, 14 Recipes to Raise Your Vibration in 14 Days. I also have a chakra cleanse. You're like, okay, I want to get to know my chakras, and I already know that I need to do a little bit of clearing and cleaning, and I need some assistance. I want a coach. I want someone to assist me, and I want a lovely tribe to go through the process with. Then you could sign up for my Elevate Your Vibration chakra cleanse, which is on my site. It actually starts soon. And then after that, it will, and this is probably going to be my last cycle I do live, but then I'm actually creating it into a course that's going to be online, so you can take it anytime. Mm-hmm. So, but yes.
Well, thank you so much for doing this today. Happy Cancer New Moon. I am excited to hear. I want you to text me your intention when you get clear about it.
Awesome. Is there anything like you just look like, oh, great, so this is like, just, you want to just peek real quick and just share like anything's popping up in my life that's in the chart.
In your chart. So how about this? What we talked about was this identity thing, right? Like you have
Yes.
new intention for for your identity. And why don't we come back together when we have more time
Okay.
and really dive in, because I would love to do that with you. You know, I love to do that with you. And, but I really encourage you to, like you said earlier, put Chef Ameera, sit her down for a second and bring Ameera, like just you, because your identity, like you really are going through like having to really hone in on who you really are more deeply. People need to understand that we're always in a constant state of becoming. We're never finished. And every year, as the sun goes around these 360 degrees of our constellation through us, through our own constellation, because that's what it's doing, it's moving through us, we have to die to the old stuff and be born to the new. So you're having a birth right now. So
I feel it. I definitely feel it. You know, I'm like, you know, and I definitely, anytime I feel comfortable, I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are going to shake things up again.
That's right. So thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you. To my listeners, please check out my website, MoniqueRuffin.com. I'm offering a Rebirthing Your Authentic Self course right now. I'm also offering a Activate Your Personal Wheel of Fortune, because Jupiter is in retrograde in Aquarius and Pisces right now. And Jupiter is all about our fortune, right? Our inner fortune. It's important for us to understand that we're born with genius inside of us. We have everything that we need inside of us to really fulfill our divine potential and be who we are here to be. So with that, thank you all for listening. Peace and blessings. Thank you, Chef Ameera. Bye-bye.
And I wish that you knew, you sleep in the bed with both your shoes. We listen to jazz in the living room. The feeling we know but don't surrender to, trying to remember who am I.